In line with the provision of the Electoral Act 2022, every political party participating in the general elections must conduct primaries or national convention to nominate their candidates. Section 84, subsection 1 of the Electoral Act 2022 provides, and I quote, "A political party seeking to nominate candidates for elections under this Act shall hold primaries for aspirants to all elective positions, which shall be monitored by the Commission," that is INEC. And subsection 2 also stipulates that the procedure for the nomination of candidates by political parties for the various elective positions shall be by direct, indirect primaries or consensus. In compliance with this, the PDP began its primaries from Sunday, the 22nd of May, 2022, to nominate the party's standard bearers for various elective positions. Now, these include House of Assembly, House of Representatives, the Senate, and the governorship seats. But the climax of the events, which is the National Convention to elect the presidential candidate for the party, is ongoing at the Velodrome of the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja. 811 delegates are expected to participate in the process for the emergence of the party's standard bearer for the 2023 presidential election. Now, 17 aspirants indicated interest to vie for the highest political office in Nigeria. Out of these, 2 were disqualified by the screening committee, while former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, resigned from the party few days to the National Convention and now joined the Labour Party to pursue his presidential ambition. Reports indicate that another aspirant, former managing director of FSB International Bank, Dr. Mohammed Hayatuddin, also withdrew from the presidential primaries, alleging monetization of the process as reason for his action. And now 13 aspirants are slugging it out at the National Convention. They are Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed, former Senate President Bukola Saraki, former Ekiti State Governor Ayodele Fayose, and former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, publisher Ovation International Chief Dele Momodu, Rivers State Governor Barrister Nyesom Wike, and his counterpart from Sokoto State, Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal. Others are Akwa Ibom State Governor Udom Emmanuel, former Senate President and former SGF Senator Ayim Pius Ayim, Mazi Sam Ohabunwa, Chikwendu Kalu, Charles Ugu, and Tari Oba Diana. Now, as the special National Convention progresses, the NTA will continue to bring updates to you and analysis of the event. And for the next 1 hour, we shall have live studio discussion and also link up with Moshood Abiola National Stadium, where our crew will give us situation reports on the goings-on over there. Good evening and welcome to our special broadcast of the presidential primaries of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. I am Ifeanyi Okafor, and thanks for joining us. Now, before we proceed, let me welcome my guests in the studio. First here is Dr. Adoi Matthew Omale. He's a political scientist and international relations expert. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased to be here.
We also have Dr. Abubakar Umar Kari. He's the Associate Professor of Political Sociology and Dean Students Affairs, University of Abuja. It's good to have you here with us.
Thank you for having me, Ifeanyi.
Now, for now, let's join the velodrome of the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, where our correspondent is standing by to give us a situation report from that axis.
The great leader, Alhaji Shuaibu Oyadokun, is here in the house. Commodore Ibianka Olabode George, former Deputy National Chairman, is also here with us. A young Josephine Anini, Stella Omu, member of BOT, may I also inform you that His Excellency Ambassador Empire Kano, former Nigerian ambassador to Argentina, is here with us. He's a pioneer member of the Board of Trustees of this party. Let me use this opportunity to welcome the pillars and the rocks on which the PDP is built today. The governors of PDP, His Excellency Dr. Samuel Oton, the governor of Benue State. His Excellency Right Honorable Amadou Umaru Fintiri, governor of Adamawa State. His Excellency Engineer Oluwaseyi Makinde, Governor of Oyo State. His Excellency Distinguished Senator Doye Dere.
There at the Moshoda Abiola National Stadium. Now, the People's Democratic Party is on course with its 2022 National Convention, and in a reaction, speculations from some quarters, the party's National Publicity Secretary, Debo Ologunnagba, explained that for the avoidance of doubt, the party has not postponed the special national convention, stressing that the exercise is on course as scheduled today, Saturday, May 28, 2022, and there is no contemplation whatsoever for postponement. The primary elections of the People's Democratic Party into various elective positions, except for the presidential, have been concluded, but not without issues in some quarters ahead of the 2023 general elections. Timothy Yusuf tells us more as the party gets underway with a special national convention to elect a presidential candidate.
The People's Democratic Party is the major opposition political party in Nigeria. It was in power for 16 years until it lost power to the governing All Progressives Congress in 2015. It's another season of electioneering ahead of the 2023 general elections, but the journey has been tough, rough, and stormy one. The votes. It's a moment of marathon political activities. Regrettably, in aspects, controversies arise. For instance, the ongoing party primaries, doctrine of delegates list, parallel congresses in some states, including Ogun and Kano, are major post-party primary issues waiting to be addressed. Despite the controversies, the party must go ahead in order not to run foul of the election timetable in line with the umpire's guidelines.
Our great party should therefore disregard any such list.
The PDP Presidential Primary Election, slated for Saturday 28 and 29 May 2022, will mark the end of the party's primaries and the winners forwarded to INEC. But then, not a smooth ride with one of the leading presidential aspirants and former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, dropping his aspiration and went ahead to resign from the PDP.
The national chairman, by this letter, is just being informed and being updated on development.
Already, the velodrome of the Abuja National Stadium, venue of the Special Presidential National Convention, is already set for the exercise. How will it end? Only time will tell. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Thank you, Timothy, there. I still have the two gentlemen here with me in the studio, Dr. Adoye Omale, a political analyst, and Dr. Abubakar Umakari, a political analyst also. Now, it's been really a relief out there with the program finally taking off. Now, what is your assessment to the build-up of the National Convention of the PDP? Let's start with Dr. Omale.
Yeah, just like you said in the prologue, the Electoral Act mandates all political parties to conduct their primaries. The process began quite some days ago, and we have seen a lot of issues come up. Just like as usual in the Nigerian political space, it is clear that our politicians have not learned lessons from the past. We are still doing the same things that have been criticized. We are still doing the same things that have continued to bog down our democratic practice. There are no fundamental shift, irrespective of the laws that have been tinkered with by the National Assembly, in as much as there have been a lot of agitations for reforms. We saw events that we thought could shape the political space as we approach 2023, the NSAS agitation, the not too young to run bill, and so many other issues that we thought the primaries of political parties in the rundown to 2022 election would have taken a radical dimension from what used to be. But unfortunately, we are back at it again. Cases of godfatherism, impositions of candidates, cases of manipulation, monetization of the electoral process, tampering with delegate lists, and the processes of the emergence of delegates have also raised a lot of issues. So by and large, I am particularly worried because the process of political recruitment in our climate is very faulty, especially when it comes to primaries of political parties. We believe that internal party democracy will enrich our democracy. But unfortunately, every country gets the type of leader that political party throws up. And unlike other climes, like in the US, in the UK and others, where parties are very, very strong and vibrant, we see the fluidity in political parties.
Yeah.
Somebody just joined into a political party within a week, and then the person is given a waiver, and then he contests an election.
Okay, let's hear from Dr. Kari. Now, he has thrown up quite a number of issues, talking about lessons for political parties. He talked about godfatherism, imposition of candidates, and also the issues surrounding the delegate list. Now, what are your own feelings on what he said so far?
Well, I align myself with him, but let me begin by congratulating PDP for deciding to forge ahead and go on with the primaries. Actually, there are very clear signs that perhaps, like the APC, they are going to postpone the elections. In the past few weeks, Nigerians have been treated to some kind of hide-and-seek game between the two parties trying to outwit each other. So it's good that the PDP is going ahead. I particularly never thought, okay, there could be any significant difference whether the primary is held now or in a week's time. On the issue of the major things that are usually associated with primaries, particularly the unsavory issues and the controversies, it is really unfortunate that the political parties, including the PDP, have not been able to purge themselves of such unfortunate threats. But then that is the way they are. And I think we have to look quite deeper to identify the problems. For me, the problem can easily be located in the very constitution of the parties themselves. That is how they are founded. Probably that's why some of us believe that, scientifically speaking, the parties are not really political parties. They are more of political platforms, because there are some basic features which must exist before a socio-political formation is called a political party, and many of these features are either non-existent or they are not existing in a significant ways. Up to now, virtually all the political parties are in the 5 grips of some few individuals. who use them to feather their own nests. And that is actually the root of the lack of the internal party democracy that my friend Omale has alluded to. Up to now, and even in this convention, to a very large extent, the entire exercise is being managed, controlled, and run by few very powerful individuals. And it is likely what they want that is going to take place. Democratic ethos and norms and values usually put aside, which is quite unfortunate. But I'm always concerned that, well, the democracy is a destination. I mean,
it's a process too.
Yes, it's a journey.
It's a journey.
Destination.
Yes. Okay.
So perhaps gradually we
will get there.
We'll get there. Yes.
Now we have so many aspirants away from the political parties. Now talking about the aspirants, we have so many aspirants vying for the presidential seat. Now, what does this show for our democracy?
Well, the number is not really an issue, is the quality.
Okay.
You see, you could see that in our country, everybody wants to run for election. People do not even take stock. Oh, what are my antecedents? What am I acceptable to the people? If it is the people that drives the process, I can assure you that many of those coming out will not come out. But unfortunately, people that think that they have money to, but even when the forms were very high, for PDP, I think it was about 40 million. For APC, it was 100 million. But look at the number of people that were able to pay that money to come in. Nobody is thinking, oh, public position that I held in the past, have I performed? Oh, what are my credentials? Do I have the requisite experience to turn around the Nigerian economy going forward? Most of the people that are coming out, they have either been in the National Assembly, or they have either been governors or sitting governors, or people within the public. Well, how did they perform? Nobody is looking at that. So it's not in the number, it is in the quality. But again, I agree with you that it shows that a lot of people are now beginning to take interest in the democratic state. In the past, you will be looking for people to come and contest an election. You will not see. So with the large number of people, not only for presidency, if you look at House of Rep, Senate, a lot of people who hitherto who will not have been involved in politics are currently
coming out.
And it is very important. But one worrying aspect of most of those coming out is that we are looking at a generational gap. Most of the young people, vibrant young people that are supposed to participate in the process, because of the monetization of the process, they don't have the wherewithal. How many young people, if they ask you to bring 40, 50 million now to come and participate in buying only form, other logistics are not there.
Yes.
Campaigning, campaign materials, campaign vehicles, offices, and so on and so forth. So you discover that it is very, very expensive. It is only those that have a lot of money that will be able to participate in the process. So that has shut out a lot of young and vibrant people who have ideas to give. It is only those that either have access to some funds or who have been privileged to be in position that are jostling for this position. That's why I commend people like Dele Momodu, who has been in the private sector all along, and they are running the race to this level.
I think there was an attempt to prune down the number of candidates at some point in the party, and I understand that two were actually disqualified initially.
Yes, we heard that rumor. Even the northern elders zeroed in on two candidates which didn't work. There was also an attempt, just like you said during the primaries, during the preamble. There are three methods that are approved by the Electoral Act: either consensus, direct primaries, or indirect primaries. Now, the three are very contentious. When you say consensus, all the candidates would have agreed. Then it will be that this person is the person that they have all agreed that should represent them. That also is a very laborious process that is very difficult to attain. If you say indirect primaries, then the issue of delegates comes in. And delegate is cash. From the report I was reading before I came to your studio, I'm talking that way as the dollarization of the democratic process. Delegates are cashing out, and it's really very, very embarrassing. It's very, very embarrassing. We are a laughing stock among the international community.
The delegates have become the beautiful bride.
Then if you talk of direct primaries, what are the indices for direct primaries? Yesterday I was in my state and they were talking about direct or indirect primaries. Where are the registers of party members certified? How many persons can have agents in all the wards of a particular state if you are doing direct primaries? In case of presidential, we have almost, in each state, we have an average of 300 wards in each state. If you want to do direct primaries, it's going to be capital intensive. You have to have agents everywhere. You have the logistics for direct. So all the three processes are very, very, very cumbersome, and it's very, very hard to meet. But the PDP, why they have been able to be very fast with their process, and I agree with Dr. Kyari, who said that the PDP, everybody thought that they were going to shift this convention. I think it was only yesterday that INEC came out with the additional days that they have added. And the PDP was in a tight corner. Shifting the convention at this time would have been in the best interest of the party. The APC has not started the process. They have not even screened their presidential candidate. So it was a leverage. And if you look at a lot of argument on social media and all these things, it was seen as if because the APC was not ready, that was why INEC, that is what it seemed to look like. But I think the extension was needed because the whole process was too jam-packed. The timing was really not enough for parties to have brought out done a very credible, free and fair primaries. Okay. Everything was rushed and rushed and rushed and rushed and rushed. So that is my opinion on that.
Okay, maybe before we go to Dr. Kyari, let's quickly take this report. Party primaries are the final stage after an engaging moment of campaigns by aspirants to sway delegates. For instance, the PDP is at its final push for presidential candidate now. Mia Ogidi in this report brings us some exciting moments and what the observers think went wrong in the process.
One has to be polite in politics to persuade the electorate. It is a festival that comes every 4 years. The preachers move from palace to parlor, from mosque to church, seeking for anointing and also converting delegates and electorate to their fold, sometimes with sugar-coated tongues. That is the beauty of democracy. But what is not democratic is the infiltration of money politics. It is a game for the rich. Between 100 million and 20 million for nomination and expression of interest forms separate the men from the boys. The expensive nature of politics, compounded by the new Electoral Act that increases the spending capacity of candidates, for instance, from 1 billion to 5 billion for president, is another kettle of fish.
Imagine the National Assembly altered the Electoral Act to increase the threshold of how much a candidate can spend for election finance. You know, that is something that we should all have opposed. Regrettably, we were too busy opposing the issue of electronic transmission and so on, that we lost focus. We didn't pay sufficient attention to what they were trying to do, because they now smuggle the issue of huge financial outlays required of candidates. And then in addition to that, many political parties, especially the so-called big ones, now put huge amounts as nomination fees. This is one area where attention has to be focused in the next cycle of electoral reforms to the electoral legal framework.
Section 84(12) of the new Electoral Act has trimmed down the number of delegates. In some cases, just 10 delegates elected state assembly members. But technically, this does not come with any reduction in the cost of securing the blessings of the delegates by the aspirant. The smaller the number of delegates, the higher the bidding. Even among the men, there was no peace in some states. Parallel party primaries, common sides. The implication is more pre-election troubles for the political parties and INEC. This is a huge reversal for the democratization journey of Nigeria. Mie Ogidi, NTA News.
There you go, Dr. Carey. You just saw that yourself. Now we have seen some aspirants resigning from the party just few days to the convention. What does that say of internal democracy mechanism?
Well, not so good. Even though the reasons adduced by some of them is quite funny, because I think it wasn't today or yesterday that they realized that the process has been monetized or dollarized, as my friend said. Taking the excuse given by Peter Obi. Peter Obi has been too long in the political space to know that a thing like that was going to happen. For me, the major reason why he quit was that he rightly observed that he stood very little chance. And since he really wanted to participate, and he should participate, he negotiated elsewhere, and he left. He wasn't the only person. So many people left. As at the last count, about 20 senators have changed seats. In Kano State,
sorry to cut you short there. I understand that Timothy Yusuf is standing by from the Moshood Abiola Stadium right there. Timothy, what's going on right now? Right there, we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Dr. Carey, you can please go on.
Could you remind me of what I was saying?
No, you're talking about
issues about the
yes. So as at the last count, about 20 senators in Kano State, almost 2/3 of the members of the House of Assemblies have switched camps. And I think all these things is usually caused by the legal lacunas, that exist, where somebody can be in one party in the morning, another party in the afternoon, and yet another party in the evening without suffering any consequence. You can be holding position, and even though in certain instances, either the Constitution or the Electoral Act has actually spelled out otherwise, but because of the fact that those who should respect that thing, particularly speakers, Senate presidents, and so on and so forth, they will not declare the seat of someone who has changed parties vacant. But again, the problem also has to be located in the lack of internal party democracy.
Definitely.
Because sometimes individuals are left with no option but to quit.
Okay.
The political space is squeezed. They are squeezed out of the race. All sort of impediments are placed.
Hold your thoughts on that for a moment while we hear from Timothy, who I understand is quite ready now to tell us what is happening at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium. Timothy, are you there with us?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm here.
Yeah, please tell us goings on now.
All is now set in earnest at the velodrome of the National Stadium here in Abuja for the special national convention of the People's Democratic Party, where the presidential candidate of the party for the 2023 general elections is expected to be unveiled. And of course, the party's national publicity secretary, Debo Ologunagba, some few hours ago issued a statement debunking speculations and insinuations in some quarters that the party was considering postponing the special national convention. Although aspirants have been coming to lobby even here at the velodrome of the Moshood Abiola Stadium venue of the special convention, with the delegates already seated. The presiding officers are also here. The security officers and every arrangement necessary for the takeoff of the conventions are all ready. And here with me is the executive chairman of the Ikwere local government area of Rivers State, Nwandosike Samuel, to shed more light on what is really happening here. Honorable, tell us, what is really the ambience of this place like?
We are ready to give Nigeria an credible alternative, what Nigerians have been waiting for. The 774 local governments in Nigeria, their delegates are assembled in this hall. Unlike the Electoral Act has made it now, by 82, section 82, 84.8, had said clearly that it's only elected delegates that will vote. And so we, the People's Democratic Party, are making sure we'll comply with the laws of Nigeria 100%. That's why we are concerned. If you look at the venue itself, you can feel the pressure of a new Nigeria coming. This is the beauty of the new Nigeria we are looking at. And I thank God that the People's Democratic Party has organized such a wonderful ambience for the world to see that PDP is ready to give Nigerians quality leadership, management of their resources. You can see, once this convention is over, Nigerians will give all their support to the candidate of the People's Democratic Party to right the wrong that has been provided by those who have misled Nigeria for the past years they've been in office as a ruling party.
Well, you're an accredited state observer from Rivers State, and this is really a moment of decision by the delegates. The aspirants, are they considering a consensus?
Well, first of all, we'll be hearing our leaders have been meeting not just today, before now. Talks have been going on, but until this moment, no clear-cut decision has come out from any quarters. In fact, even those who tried to do consensus up there in the north, it ended up not standing. But for us in People's Democratic Party, we have nothing to worry about. Whether any candidate wants to step down for another candidate, it's a political process, it's allowed. But at the end of the day, the delegates who are already accredited in this hall must vote to select he who will run the election for the People's Democratic Party. He who can wrestle power from the All Progressive Congress. He who understands the political tactics to give the People's Democratic Party victory and return PDP back to the villa. That's what the delegates will go for. And don't forget, the People's Democratic Party delegates are now more politically aware and conscious. They now are recanting those who have worked for the party, those who have stood for the party in the past, those who did not abandon the party because they lost election, those who did not abandon the party because they said they want to go to study overseas, those when the party was in trouble stood by the party and made the party this thick. PDP is back, PDP is strong, PDP is thick. That's why you can see everybody all over the world is screaming and yelling, PDP, we are waiting for you. Give us a quality leader that can manage the resources of Nigerians. And thank God for that.
Well, one of the leading aspirants, Mohammed Hayatuddin from Borno State, pulled out of the primary election just yesterday, alleging that the entire process is monetized. How will you react to that?
How can you call Mohammed Hayatuddin a leading aspirant? A man who in his state where he comes from probably cannot even speak to delegates from his state because it is politics. Before you wake up to say you want to go and run an election, you must check the indices. Nobody goes to university or gets a university admission without writing JAM by Nigerian law. So if you want to run an election as enshrined in our Constitution, Electoral Act, and the Constitution of our party, you must know there are indices and steps to follow. So Hayatuddin probably chose the option of going to television networks and doing big billboards. That is not the politics we are now. That's not the face of politics. The face of politics we are now is an internal party politics where you must provide a convincing argument to the delegate. What is your contribution in the party? Who is Hayatuddin before now in the party?
Do you foresee the possibility? Do you foresee the possibility of other aspirants pulling out before commencement?
How can an aspirant pull out today that it's an election? We're here. Anybody that is pulling out is already aware that he has lost the election. Like when we hear that say PDP abandoned PDP. PDP did not abandon PDP. PDP saw clearly that it is a delegate election. and the economic indices he's throwing and the English language he's speaking, the delegates from his own state are not understanding that English because they want practicality. The era of deceiving Nigerians with English is gone. We have natural resources, we have human resources, we are looking for leadership to twerk together an idea that will make us the giant of Africa, not to come and tell us which university or whatever capacity you say you've acquired. We want practicality. What was your contribution to this party? How have you organized this party in the past? If we stood out to support you to run election in 2019, where were you when we lost the election and we are struggling to make sure our party is together? This is payback time, and the delegates of PDP are ready to teach people lesson for once. Don't ignore people and feel that at the eve of election you come and be throwing money around. Money does not win election in Nigeria anymore. I can assure you that.
Quite a lot of persons believe that money is really being thrown around, that delegates are not really voting in accordance with the dictates of their conscience.
That is not correct. That's not correct. Now you are here. You and your reporters are here. Please, when we saw the other political parties conduct their convention and their activities, we see wraps of money, we see arrests. In fact, I was watching a video clip the other day on the APC governorship primaries where people were caught with bags of money. Wait, we are not in government.
It's an
We are
allegation.
not, no. It is the media that brought it out. I am not an APC member. I was not there. So you as the reporter, you're on ground now. Have you seen any money bag or money tag around this environment?
I saw officials of the EFCC moving around a while
We
ago.
want them to sit down with us. We want EFCC to come and sit down with us and monitor. This election has not to do with money. We are choosing our best to wrestle power out of APC.
Thank you. Why don't you get somewhere? Thanks, a pleasure. Thanks for joining us. We are still at the Velodrome venue of the Special National Convention of the People's Democratic Party. And of course, I have another observer of the Special National Convention in the person of Senator Abdul Ningi. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you, my brother.
Tell us, what is really the general situation?
Everywhere is calm. People are expecting huge day. A historical day, a small convention, the first of its kind in the history of a political party, where a Mayor 774 delegate will choose a national flag bearer. So it is something that we have not practiced before, but it is something that we are ready to abide by it.
But, distinguished, how confident are you that this convention will really be supersede over the last one in 2018 in Port Harcourt River State?
We are PDP. That's our job. We are unique. We've been several times over situations like this, and at the end of the day, we prevail. Convention has never broken our party. Yet, yes, we have personalities here and there, up and down, going, defecting, coming in. But for a convention to break the party, it has never happened. So we're comfortable. Things are going well.
Well, we were made to understand, we got feelers some few hours ago that the aspirants are trying to really build a consensus so that others can they can step down for each other. How true is this, and do you see that possibility coming to play out?
Well, that's an interesting scenario. If that is happening, it's good for our party, it's good for our democracy, because too many cooks spoil the soup. So what is important is let our party get the right kind of candidate that will be able to take us to the general election and win the general election for us. It is important that we win this general election. Anything short of winning the election by PDP spells doom for this country, and I'm telling you, this nation is on the edge. And therefore, when we have another political party coming and taking power after another 8 years of FVC, that would, in my mind, stabilize the polity.
Some aspirants believe that the process is monetized. Yes,
there is no convention that is elective, that is not money related. In fact, all over the world. But the only difference here is that it is not the interest group that actually bring in money. It's the aspirants who bring in money one way or the other to teleguide the delegates. Because usually when it is a national convention, the national delegates are elite delegates. The issue of money shouldn't have crossed their minds. But this particular convention comes with a difference, whereby the narratives of how the national delegate emerged is not good enough democratically. But that is a story for another day.
Thank you, distinguished. We hope that you will join us again in the course of the convention. Thank you very much. The convention is yet to kick started, but then all is set for a successful national convention according to delegates and officials of the People's Democratic Party here. And here I have Right Honorable Inu Agarba, former Speaker of Gombe State House of Assembly. Thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, Gombe State is not a PDP controlled state at the moment. How strong are the delegates from Gombe?
We are 100%. You know, being PDP state or not does not matter now. What matters is the commitment of the delegates from a state. We, the people of Gombe State, our delegates are united and focused. What we are here to do is, we are here to choose for Nigeria somebody whose track record are credible, who has the capacity, capability, and visionary commitment to leadership that can bring Nigeria back to its senses. Because Nigeria is in trouble now. You can see what...
Honorable, a few weeks ago, you are the chairman of State Assembly Speakers of the country, former state presiding officers.
Yes, up to now.
And a few weeks ago, you presided over a committee that promised to build, to look out for the consensus candidate.
Exactly.
How far? What is the outcome of
you see, looking at what transpired because of the aspect of law, the electoral bill is to our disadvantage now. Is only three delegates can vote. But despite the fact that we are not voting, we are still on the line of choosing for Nigeria or advising our delegates. As I'm talking to you now, because now I'm not a delegate, I'm the coordinator of Atiku Abubakar in Gombe State. All our delegates, 100%, are voting for Atiku Abubakar. Do you know why? He is one among the candidates that have what it takes.
Well, this is not time for campaign yet. But in the event that your principal does not get the ticket, will he stay with the party or go?
He is not going anywhere. What PDP is doing now is to salvage Nigeria. It's a rescue mission. Each and every one of the candidates is qualified, but only that some are more qualified than the others.
How confident are you that this entire exercise will end on a peaceful note?
By God, you can see the peaceful atmosphere, the mood of the delegate, how transparent is the exercise going. We're going to come out stronger and more united.
Thank you, Honorable Agarba. Thanks for joining us. Thank you. And we are still at the Velodrome venue of the Special National Convention of the People's Democratic Party, where the party's presidential candidate is expected to really be unveiled. I have here with me Honorable Razak Atunwa, who is the agent of one of the leading presidential aspirants, former President of the Senate, Dr. Bukola Saraki. Well, we expected that by now this convention ought to have started. What's really happening?
Well, it's the nature of the beast. Organizations such as this, as big as this, organizing it takes a lot of work, a lot of calculation, a lot of preparation. But I must, first of all, thank those who have organized it, put it together. So far, it's been wonderful. Sometimes you get slight delays in the commencement of proceedings like this, but what's important is that we get it right and we carry out a transparent, fair, just, and credible elections.
Well, we saw a handful of some of the aspirants here interacting with delegates from the various states of the country, and we also got to know reliably that the aspirants are meeting somewhere to try to build consensus towards trimming down on their numbers. How true is this, and is it really workable?
Well, I can't speak to whether or not they're meeting as we speak, but we're one big family at the PDP. There's a great deal of camaraderie. So they meet regularly, even beyond party affairs. They talk regularly, but certainly we're at a critical juncture of this party, and this will mark a pivotal point in the life of PDP. And therefore we will. And therefore we will.
And we can see another presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, walking in to really interact with the delegates. And this is really politicking. Well, how do you react to this?
Well, this is the beauty of it, as I was saying. They meet regularly. There's a great deal of camaraderie. There's friendship among them. His Excellency Atiku has just walked in. You can see the warm reception he's received. I'm sure when Dr. Abubakar Bukola Saraki enters, you will get an equally warm and cordial reception by all members from all states throughout the Federation.
A pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. Well, I have a national delegate this time around here with me, a former Minister of the Federal Republic, Chief Kenneth Kobani. Welcome to Abuja.
Thank you very much.
What's happening?
Good things are happening. Nigeria is on the cusp of something dramatic. We are facing, for the first time in a long while, we are all going to face an opportunity to put somebody who actually knows and has a solution to Nigeria's problems in the presidency. It's a beautiful time, a wonderful time to be alive.
Well, if you look at this time around, we have one person each from the 774 local government areas. How unique is this from past?
That's what I said. It is epochal. It has never happened before. And what it signifies is that there's a change from the way things used to be done. So if the delegates from the local governments of this country are all there today and they're saying they want to elect somebody, I think we should listen to them. You can see the rapturous reception Governor Wike has received from all delegates around the place. I know you people don't want, I don't know what is the problem with some of the media houses, but let truth be told.
It's an allegation.
Let truth be told.
It's an allegation.
Okay.
So how confident are you that the national
absolutely
leader of the party will come up with a credible national delegation?
I believe the party has been through quite a lot. We have seen some people come, say they are members of this party, join other parties to destroy a PDP government. Now, the people in this party know that. They know those people. For that reason, the one person who is on this ballot, who you can be sure will never betray the PDP, is Nyesom Wike, because he has committed so much into this party.
Well, at so many fora, your principal has said that he's not just an aspirant, but a candidate. Now, is he really correct?
Because he's absolutely correct. If you see the mood, Nigeria needs genuine change. Nigeria needs leaders you can trust, not people who will sell them and tell you they are going to school after the election is over. Nigeria doesn't need that. Somebody who has committed himself to the defense of the common man. That is what we can do.
Welcome to Abuja.
You're running away, but I have a lot more to say. But let me assure you. Let me assure you that Nigeria is ready for the message that Wike has put across here. May God bless you.
Thank you very much. Well, okay. Here is another Philip Ahmed.
Yes.
What's happening?
Good evening. Thank you. Right, Philip. Are we on?
Go ahead.
Oh, good. Double Comrade Philip Ahmed, and I'm here to represent my principal, Waziri Tambuwa. And as you can see, right from reception, you can see us. You see his banner everywhere as if this is his home. And that is what it's going to be, because Nigerians are yearning for a genuine change, and they look for a youthful and vibrant individual that can pioneer the affairs of this country. And as you can see, he is fit in that shoes to run and make this country gain the glory that it has lost over time.
The presidential aspirants, are they really making this a do-or-die contest?
No, it cannot be a do-or-die affair, but they have seen and they are aligned with the right candidate. And I believe by the time the weekend is over, we'll all be celebrating, waiting to the general election to kick them out by February 2023.
Thank you,
and we'll be in the villa. Then I will see you, we'll talk further.
Thank you, Comrade.
Thank you very much.
Amen. Glad joining you. Well, this is all we have for you for now, studio. The event is yet really to commence in earnest, but then any moment from now, the party officials have assured that the convention will start proper. So we will tell you more about the situation on ground here in the course of time. Thank you very much, studio.
Thank you so much, Timothy, for the insight into what is happening right there at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium. Now, we've all heard from Timothy there and his guests there. Now, in Nigeria, one of the most dominant public discourse right now is this issue of money politics. Now, how is this money politics affecting the credibility and integrity of the democracy?
It affects everything, actually. It stops or restricts participation in the first place. Only those who can afford can participate. It makes the entire process to be very, very expensive, and it gives another name and meaning to election and democracy. Democracy, for God's sake, is not a cash and carry thing. It's supposed to be a thing of choice, a thing of participation, where members of the electorate are supposed to choose from a number of options, and the underlying assumption is that they choose the best or somebody that in their estimation has all the qualities to lead. But this monetization or undue monetization of the electoral process throw all misfits. It is only those who can afford, and most of them, frankly speaking, do not have what it takes. And again, the international community are quiet. I mean, are so shocked, they are bewildered that the Nigerian brand of democracy is simply be throwing up money. If it is money just to carry out electioneering, it's not a problem. But a situation where you give individuals per head money in order to vote for you, because this monetization goes beyond the primaries. We have seen even in the general elections where actual voters are purchased or are induced. So the whole thing is very, very bad for democracy, is very, very bad for the image of the country.
Okay, Dr. Omale, how has this substantially affected internal democracy?
No, no doubt it has. Vote buying is very, very dangerous. When you buy your way into power, then what are we talking about? Corruption. What are we talking? Because when you invest, it's like garbage in, garbage out. When you put a lot of billions of naira to win nominations, billions of naira to get into political office, it's like an investment which you want to recoup. So if we want to tackle corruption, then we have to do away with monetization of our electoral process. It's a shame that some people will go and line up and then sell their votes to the highest bidder, and tomorrow we complain that our economy is not working. We complain that workers are not being paid salaries. We complain that inflation is hitting the economy. But when we were collecting, selling our votes for peanuts to put these people in position, we did not know the implication. So the implication is we are not going to get the type of leadership that we desire as a people. We are going to get leadership that think that they bought the mandate, they bought the position in which they are occupying. And that is very, very dangerous for the entire sustenance of our democracy and for the future development, socio-economic development of our country. The EFCC and anti-corruption agencies have a role to play in checking this trend. Until one or two persons are used as scapegoat, tried and jailed, this trend will continue. And I thought that just like somebody mentioned, one of those interviews, I think the chairman of Ikwere local government, just like he mentioned, some congresses, you see people actually carrying Ghana must go, wraps of money exchange hands, and people are actually negotiating price with candidates or aspirants, as the case may be. If the security agencies were up and doing and were able to track some of these development and get one or two people persecuted, it will help a lot. I don't know how, as a political scientist, we have been putting our head to see how we can stop this trend of monetizing, especially vote buying in this country. And but we don't know how we are going to do it. Because when you go to the grassroots and you tell somebody, you say, look, don't collect money, say, it's our money.
I think Nigerians are very eager and waiting patiently for that to be done.
Yes, some politicians will tell you, collect their money and then vote according to your conscience. Don't even collect, because when you collect somebody's money, you cannot, you have sold your birthright. So I don't believe in that maxim that collect their money and then vote according to your conscience. No. Don't even collect at all. Don't even collect at all. So we have to find a way of eradicating the monetization of the process. And now that the delegates are fewer, because the president refused to sign the new electoral act, which would have allowed statutory delegates, because the more the delegates, the more it becomes difficult for you to be able to induce so many people. But now, with the fewer the delegates, it becomes easy. If you have 1 billion, you can throw it around and then spend more money. But if the delegates are unwieldy, let's say 5,000, 10,000, you see it will become very, very expensive, and the way money goes around would have been very minimized.
Now, Dr. Kyari, do you think the non-signing of the amended electoral act by the president is impacting on the conduct of the primaries now?
It does, substantially so. Number is quite important. For instance, it was projected that if the president has signed, the PDP delegates would have been in the region of 5,000. The APC would have been 7,800, and now there are only 2,300. You can see even the envisaged razzmatazz and the bubbling
atmosphere.
Yes, in the venue, the expected gains by some categories of businesses are not happening. I mean, yes, are not happening. Hotels, aviation, transportation, and so on and so forth. And again, it will also significantly impact on the conduct and probably even outcome of the primaries itself. The conduct would likely be relatively shorter. It's something that usually took between 9 and 12 hours to finish, apart from the speeches and so on, because there will be so many balloting to be cast, to be collated, to be counted, and then the announcement. I expect this exercise to be the actual voting up to the period of declaration not to exceed 3 hours. And again, there are some candidates who would have stood a better chance of making it with statutory delegates. And the major effect that this non-signing has caused is that it has strengthened the hands of the governors, because the delegates are coming from local governments. For the PDP, 1 person per local government, and then some few others. For the APC, 3 persons per local government. And we all know that local governments are controlled by governors. So the primaries for 2022-2023 will likely be determined by the governors, which may not be democratic enough. Perhaps if the number of the delegates and other categories, past and present legislators, presiding officers,
party leaders,
party leaders, it is more democratic. It is more spread. So there have been better spread, and so on and so forth. So this non-signing, it's really impacting. very, very significantly.
Yes, to add to that, you see, you can imagine a party congress in the case of where the president Buhari himself will not vote. You can imagine party chairman at local government level, party ESCO at state level, which are supposed to be statutory delegates. They are not voting. Even the national chairman of the party is not voting because it doesn't really make sense. And of course, the 3-3 or 1-1 national delegate, as the case may be, you know, the process of emergence of those delegates is not as democratic as one would.
It wasn't democratic.
A lot of people, a lot of aspirants, people like Peter Obi are pulling out because a lot of people had already done their homework 1-2 years back, ensuring that their people get party positions as statutory delegates, ensuring that, and then all of a sudden, all those people are not going to the convention. So it has a lot of impact. So I was one of those that wished the president had signed the Electoral Act. So that,
and the National Assembly should also be blamed because people were wondering, where were they? What were they looking at?
They didn't know.
Did they even sort of shortchange themselves?
Yes.
They shortchange everybody.
Yes.
So, which means that they have not been diligent and they must have been legislating for themselves actually and not for democracy and not for the country.
Okay, now there has been this controversy over the delegate listings in states, you know, and we should be having such issues now, having spent more than 20 years of democratic governance in the country, but it's still going on.
It's because of the lack of internal party democracy. Actually, the genesis of this problem has to do with the election of party executives at the state level. Usually, factions come up. Take Kano State, for instance. The governor's faction and the Barau Shekarau faction. Each went and conducted its own parallel congresses. They went to court. Multiple pronouncements by court. Each group believes it is the main group. The same thing in Bauchi State APC, okay, to an extent, and so on and so forth. So, another reason again is, in many instances, the governors are so powerful that they determine whimsically, without without following any rule, without recourse to the party constitution or whatever, and simply decide who is the delegate, and if they so wish, change a delegate. I read this morning in a particular state that a governor just yesterday changed the delegate for a House of Representatives election, and the former delegate now went and mobilized and scattered everywhere. So this kind of undemocratic way, the failure to resolve issues within the states or local governments, creation of factions, and then the undue domineering attitudes of the governors and their manifest undemocratic nature, where they simply decide for selfish interests on behalf of the parties.
Okay, very, very quickly again, the issue of parallel primaries also holding, that has also affected the entire process.
Yes, parallel primaries, because when the processes are not clear and there's a parallel processes, the courts are the only arbiter that can decide on many of these cases. In most times, it is the court that will now determine. In the case of Kano, the High Court said it was Shekarau faction that was the authentic one. They went up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court finally said it was Ganduje's faction. So if you see, the courts are all the factions are looking forward to the courts as the final arbiter, because at the end of the day, the party has not been able to have internal mechanisms to resolve this factional crisis within the party. Most times, the party itself is enmeshed in the crisis to the extent that it does not have the credibility to be able to resolve it internally. So at the end of the day, the party also look forward to the judiciary.
And those at the national level, they usually take side with one of the factions.
Yeah.
So and compound the problem.
And compound the problem. So at the end of the day, when the judiciary makes their pronouncement, it is a relief to even the party leadership and to everybody. So you are going to see a lot of litigation. Even after the primary is concluded, you are going to see a lot of litigation, because when they come to screening, some people are screened out nebulously by flimsy reasons of maybe they will tell you your party card is an outdated one. They know that they have changed a party card or something. They will now look at simple excuse that maybe your two names are rhyming and the other one is abbreviated, and so many other things that they use in disqualifying people. And before you struggle and go to court and everything, before the court will now say you are on the ballot. Look at the case of the Andy Uba in Anambra, where even after the whole process, the general election has been concluded, and the court was now ruling that he was not even supposed to be on the ballot in the first instance.
He was governor for 13
years.
Yes.
So you are going to see from the primaries of these parties, you are going to see a lot of litigation, intra-party litigation, to interpret most of the issues that have taken place during these primaries. You are going to see a lot of it, and that is it. So
the only good thing perhaps is the recent amendment to the Electoral Act has given more time.
Yeah, for the litigation.
For such cases, to be disposed, because they usually affect the holders of offices. Usually cases are drag on, and again it gives some people undue advantage, because they now use the resources of their offices to prosecute personal matters. So maybe the addition of about 90 days is good. A lot can happen, and I think also the Electoral Act mandates the court to dispose of the cases before certain periods.
No, but one thing that is worrying me in all these things, Ifeanyi, one thing that is worrying me in all that what we are discussing is that look at the length of time for campaign. Assuming the primaries end between now and next week, we are just in May. It's going to be very stressful to all of us, to everybody, and it's going to be, there will be more, and the process will be still be. I just pity the aspirants, because they are going to spend a lot of money
of time
because of the time. The time to me, the time frame is too much for campaigns. Almost 9 to 10 months is too much, and that to me is worrisome. A lot of issues are still going to happen, and again, it will give even a lot of people impetus to now want to circumvent the democratic process by going to court, doing all kinds of things within that time frame to ensure that the processes are undermined. So I think those who amended the Electoral Act, they did not really take time. I agree with President Goodluck Jonathan, who said in a conference last week that the National Assembly has not really done due diligence on the Electoral Act. A lot of thoroughness was not put into some of the portions that were inserted into the Electoral Act, and that is we are going to see a lot of issues arising from them as we go forward.
Dr. Kyari, what's the way forward in all this now?
Well, the way forward, as I mentioned earlier on, democracy is a process. We are every day or every election period, every now and again, we identify a flaw. Most of these flaws can be cured through legislation, through experiential knowledge and learning. There are so many issues, so it is very, very important for all the stakeholders in the democratic process to be alert and to be vigilant, to be identifying specific issues, and then also to be providing solutions to such issues. And we should also be insisting that every identified problem is solved, and is solved holistically and comprehensively. The National Assembly, of course, has a role to play. We have been criticizing it, that it has not been quite diligent. Perhaps if they had been less self-centered. Many times their problem is that the legislate for themselves.
In their own interest.
Yes, they see, and again, they see the executive as a rival and so on and so forth. So they don't look at the wider issues within the political process. So our legislators should be quite up and doing, should be very, very vigilant, should also involve all the stakeholders at all periods so that issues can be diagnosed properly, solutions prescribed. Also, the executives shouldn't be looking at themselves as people who should always ride roughshod over and above every other individuals and groups. Legislations that are given to them after due diligence should be assented to. It is for the interest of the democratic process themselves. But more than everything for me, one of the pillars of democracy is participation. And this participation is for everybody, particularly the electorate. The electorate, as electorate, we must be interested in what happens. We must be interested in what is happening within the parties, within the parliament, within governments. We shouldn't be aloof. We shouldn't just lament or criticize. No, we should insist that the right things are done. Where democracy has prospered, has done well, is because the electorate are alert, and also because the electors are participants in the process. So if we do this, we will safeguard democracy itself, and even Nigerian democracy will prosper.
We should be guided by national interests.
Exactly.
In a sense. Now, there's this issue of defections to other political parties. Now, does this play a key role in internal party wranglings? Dr. O'Malley?
Yes, the defections, like we said earlier, is as a result of discontentment or disenchantment in the process. People defect because the space is tightened. They do not have, either their voices are muzzled or the system in which they are in is not giving them their due regard, or the processes are skewed in favor of one candidate or the other. So those are the reasons for defection. There are multiple reasons why people differ from one party to another, especially when they are convinced that where they are, the processes they are being undermined. They are not getting justice. They are not getting. The elections are not free and fair and credible. One of the hallmark of protests is to say, okay, look, let me leave and go and pursue my ambition under another platform. So these defections are but the problem with that of in Nigeria is that there's a lot of issues about this defection. Some people are not doing it altruistically. They are not doing it as a result. They are just maybe some cry foul where none exists. Some, but a lot of people cry because they have been muzzled out. Some godfathers who doesn't like their face. Some party leaders who don't like their face. When you go to party meetings and you make some comments, you are blacklisted, and then you are haunted. The space is close to you, and so you have to pursue your ambition in there. So outside PDP and APC, there's need for a third force. That third force we have not been able to see. And in the countdown to 2023, there were speculations. People say the SDP. People are now talking about NNPP. People are now talking about ABGA. At some point, some years back, we thought it was going to be ABGA. So Nigerian politicians have still not been able to create an alternative outside the PDP and the APC.
In fact, at the point they were talking about merging of various political parties to form a formidable force against.
Just like the APC in the 2019 election, the APC was able to come together to pursue the formidable force. In the rundown to 2023, I am not seeing that. I'm not seeing that happening. The type of measure that threw up the APC is not coming up. The PDP has not been able to galvanize the opposition party into a formidable bloc.
I think there's a thesis on that, even though it's very, very controversial. We go back to Omoru's thesis that Nigerian political history has always thrown up, in reality, two political parties.
Okay, so Dr. Kyari, let's quickly take some ambience from the National Stadium.
Committee to warmly welcome our great party leaders, our teaming supporters, our distinguished delegates, faithful party men and women, members of the diplomatic corps, and all the distinguished invited guests to this event. Our committee has done its best to put facilities and necessary measures in place to guarantee a smooth, transparent, free, fair, credible, and acceptable convention that will meet the highest possible standards. In spite of the odds, constraints of space and time, the passion with which committee members and staff approached the assignment brought huge relief. I appreciate and I thank them. I need not remind any of us here of the vision and the mission of our great party, the People's Democratic Party, to restore freedom, democracy and rule of law in Nigeria at its inception in 1998. However, I take the liberty of this opportunity to pay glowing tribute to our founding fathers, led by the former Vice President, Dr. Alex Freeman, and the first national chairman, Chief Solomon Lau, both of blessed memories. What started like a small pressure group of G18 grew to G34 and later metamorphosed into this large umbrella called the PDP. They were bold and determined to organize a political party to ensure that Nigeria participates fully in the politics of our country to sustain democracy. To all those living and dead who took those courageous and bold steps to form the PDP, we say, may God bless them.
Former chairman.
We sincerely apologize for the unsteady pictures and the audio quality there. But you just saw the chairman of the Convention Planning Committee, Senator David Mark there. Now, coming back here in our studios, Dr. Kyari, what is the way out of this issue of anointed candidates?
Well, it's a big one. It's a very, very big problem, because I think throughout history all over the world, anointing has been done. It has become a norm. What has made our own to be very bad is that it is coerced anointing. Anointing is done very forcefully, using coercion, by subverting all democratic norms. People do it simply to massage their ego or to show that they are in control. But the solution is very, very simple. It's for those that are affected by the anointing to resist. It's as simple as that. And since parties are supposed to be populated by the people, by members, in most cases, all these godfathers succeeds to a very large extent, because people are either aloof, indifferent, or fatalistic. It is where you allow things to happen, in most cases, that they happen. There are a few instances, examples, including my states, Bauchi, where all the so-called godfathers in the state have suffered one defeat or the other. As governor, you will lose. As chairman, as minister, as national chairman, you cannot even deliver your own polling units, because the people have decided that no, your anointing cannot work. So if the electorate will appreciate and acknowledge the kind of power that they possess and deploy send and resist, as far as I'm concerned, that is the easiest way to frustrate anointing. But if the people continue to be indifferent or aloof, or they give up, or they are fatalistic, their own is only to lament, to criticize, and so on and so forth, godfathers will continue to write them up.
Okay, on this issue of anointing, what I would say is that, take for example, like you said, the godfathers most times have a preferred candidate, and they do everything to ensure that that preferred candidate is returned. Take for example, in many of the states, in Benue and some other states, they will now zero in on the candidate and then coerce every other person to support that candidate. A level playing field is not created for everybody to aspire to campaign and win popular votes among party members. A state like Benue, for example, where I come from, issue of zoning, which is supposed to be a very issue, our political lexicon in Nigeria has taken the issue of zoning as a very strategic instrument of having coercion. But most times, this zoning is not respected or is not even available. Benue South Senatorial Zone, the Doma-speaking area of Benue State, where I come from, since 1976, they have not tested the governorship seat. They have been agitating both in PDP and APC for the position to be zoned to Benue South. Up to today, nobody wants to hear about that. At the national level, people are crying that there should be rotation between North and South. In many states, this rotation is working. Why is it that in some states like Benue, it is not working? Because some influential godfathers will say no, they are not going to adhere to zoning principles. They are not going to adhere to power sharing principles that would have stabilized the system in most of these places. In the political science within Nigerian Palace, the constitutional conferences have deliberated on this issue of power sharing, both at the national and at the state level. At a point, it was mooted that there should be rotation among the senatorial zone in every state. A lot of states have their different power sharing formula, which is going for them. In Akwa Ibom, in Enugu State, in Kano State, and several
Niger
other
is
states.
the best example.
And Niger, they have their power sharing distance. So when is the turn of all the governorship candidates come from that zone, in all the parties, they do it next year, 4 years, another turn, or 8 years, another turn. Why is it that in some areas it's not so? Because some godfathers, some people within a particular state have made up their mind that some people will be shut out of the process, and they go all out to ensure that it is done so. So going forward, this issue of zoning of political offices must be enshrined either in our Electoral Act or in our Constitution. Look at the PDP Convention, which we are discussing today. At a point, everybody was saying, oh, there should be zoning, whether it's north or south. That power should rotate between the north and south. At a point, they say it's strong open. If it's strong open, what happens if, after Buhari's 8 years tenure as president, what happens if a northerner emerges again? Wouldn't other parts of the country feel alienated? So this issue of zoning, this issue of power sharing, even at the constitutional conferences, these issues have been discussed severally. The various constitutional conferences that have been held, and their reports are rotting away in the shelf in some offices somewhere. None of them have been implemented.
So Dr. Kyari, has the issue of zoning and power sharing become one of them when it is convenient or when it is not?
Yeah, I think we have to look at the underlying principle behind. The issue was giving practical manifestation by the MPN in the Second Republic. And their reason, you can hardly fault it, that we are a federation. We are a very plural society. And we ought to give all segments a sense of belonging. There are groups, okay, that there are not many, but they belong to the federation. So for everybody to be carried along, you have to share power. It's a very fine principle, but the military truncated it. To an extent, the PDP is an offshoot of MPN, and they enshrined it in their own constitution. So that's why it is quite funny that the same PDP now had decided to deliberately disrespect it, even though the disrespect started in 2011. So it was because it was not done in 2011 that people are now saying that it has been discarded, but it is actually enshrined in the PDP constitution. So now it has been left to elite consensus. Where it works is the consensus of the elite. And that's why the case of Niger State is quite classic. Niger State comprises of 3 or 4 major ethnic groups. If we go by population, Zone A, or the Nupe-speaking area of Niger State, constitute over half of the state. So they would have been ruling at infinitum. But they say no. The Hausas of the Kontagora zone and the Bagis and others of the Suleja Mina area also need to be carried along. And therefore, there is an unwritten gentleman agreement which has been faithfully adhered to. Yes, so it is now coming to Zone A. It is leaving Zone C. Zone B had it. So if our elite will be perceptive, will be fair enough to do the case of Niger, otherwise it can be institutionalized. And beyond institutionalization, it must be faithfully respected. Because I still believe that our federation is not strong enough, it's not viable enough to throw everything open. It will create alienation, it will create cries of marginalization, complaints, and it may even sow the seed of some people deliberately working to destroy it. So power rotation and zoning, to a very large extent, is good and should be followed.
It's our own brand of democracy.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes, especially in a state like Benue, where it's only one side that wins every year, every time, and the other side is completely, a whole senatorial zone is completely alienated. So this has to be corrected. Whether it is, just like Dr. Kari has said, whether it is institutionalized in the various instruments or not.
Or the elite should agree that, look, this thing must be done. Democracy is about the people. It's not about some of the people or a segment of the people. So it is even antithetical to elementary definition of democracy for power to remain or concentrate in only a section. It's not good. It's not healthy.
Okay. All right, very close to that, we have this issue of candidates who come from the same family. Now, is that okay for the country?
I read about they said this person's child, this person's son, this person's daughter, and so on. Well, there's nothing stopping that. It is their entitlement if they are qualified to contest an election. You cannot, because somebody is the son or daughter of somebody, should not run for election. That would be undemocratic.
Okay, gentlemen, sorry. I understand the chairman of the Board of Trustees is right there. The PDP chairman actually is right there at the MKO Abiola Stadium and giving an address. Please, let's take the ambience from there.
Your Excellencies, the governors of the PDP, other members of Board of Trustees, all presidential aspirants, all dignitaries and members of our great party, distinguished gentlemen of the press, fellow Nigerians, it is my honor and privilege to stand here before you to make this address to not only our great party members, but to all Nigerians. 6 months ago, this present NWC assumed office at the National Secretariat of the party, popularly known as Wadata Plaza. We had been elected into office about 2 months earlier. Some of our pledges to you were to unite the party, rescue the country from the grip of mediocrities, and commence the rebuilding process. Given that the party was in disarray and the country itself in a very bad shape, ours was a daunting task by all standards. But you didn't give us your mandate to make excuses. The trust to repose in us was to get to work. And that is what we have been doing the past 6 months. One of the first things we did was to organize a national retreat. The retreat afforded the new leadership the opportunity to meet with stakeholders of all demographics. We brought resource persons who presented very incisive papers on various sectors of the economy, on security, agriculture, industrialization, job creation, human capital development. The retreat essentially nudged us in the direction of our roadmap and sharpened our focus. And from there, we have not looked back. In the intervening period, we have worked hard to unite, rebrand and reposition the party. Knowing the place of ideas, innovation and research in party administration and governance, one of the first things we did was to revive the intellectual arm of the party. That is the People's Democratic Institute. I'm happy to announce that a repositioned PDI has been relocated to a serene and befitting place in Asokoro, and will commence earnest operation from there next month. We are also engaging critical stakeholders like the media, INEC, civil societies, and the international community. We have achieved varying degrees of success. However, we are humble enough to acknowledge that there is much work to be done. For instance, we have followed the time-honored PDP tradition of organizing free, fair, transparent, and credible primaries. We started with primaries of Ekiti and Osun states. Difficult as it was, candidates emerged from those credible processes, and they await their ultimate victories at the polls less than 2 months from today. We followed up with free and fair area council primaries in the Federal Capital Territory. The result of that was the superlative performance of our great party in the council elections that followed. We swept the polls in their entirety. If in the end we were forced to share our electoral wins with the ruling APC, it is because we believe INEC failed its independence test. But it also means we must continue to awaken the electoral empire to its sacred duty of impartiality. And we have done fairly well in the by-elections that have held across the country. If we competed on level playing grounds, if INEC were resistant to external pressures, and if security agents did not militarize some of the election environments, your great party, the PDP, Nigeria's only organic party, would have done much better. But the by-elections serve as a very important point. They are a referendum on APC's misrule. The outcomes of the election show that Nigerians want us back to power. And the reasons are obvious. Nigeria is now both the poverty capital of the world. Also, Nigeria is the third most terrorized country. The economy has collapsed. Government now prints or borrows money to pay salaries. Unemployment is about 35%. Government now shares sovereignty with terrorists. Bandits now regulate domestic travel, be it by road, by rail, or by air. The litany of wars is endless. So, the return of the PDP will be daybreak. Nigerians have woken up from the anesthesia of false premises. They have seen the limit of propaganda, and they want a return to development which PDP represents. Our focus is on 2023, but we see taking both Osun and Ekiti in the July election as our low-hanging fruits. The electoral triumphs from there will sustain our momentum, boost the morale of party members, and amplify our notice to the overwhelmed APC that PDP is coming. In December, when we took over, I urge you all to keep hope alive that with PDP, Nigeria shall rise again. Today, as I welcome all you delegates, observers and stakeholders to our national convention, I repeat the same words to you. Don't lose hope. Don't give up on Nigeria. PDP is coming to the rescue. I wish all of us a very successful national convention, one that follows the PDP tradition of credible primaries. Whoever wins tonight, may our party, democracy, and Nigeria win. And may it be a big win for all of us. And by the powers conferred on me by Section 35 of the People's Democratic Party Constitution, I formally declare this convention open, and I thank you all.
Yeah, Dr. Iyorchia Ayu, the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party there, from the MKO National Stadium here in Abuja. Now, earlier, Dr. Kyari, we were talking about keeping political positions for our family. Now, what were your reactions there?
Well, it is inevitable, and there are examples all over the place. Father and son becoming president, father and son, one is president, another governor, daughter becoming prime minister, succeeding her father, and so on. There are political families. It only becomes a problem if it is an imposed one. If anointing, coerced, imposed son, and so on and so forth. Like in the present example, I will not mention the places, but in about 2 states, it's imposed. Serving governors have imposed their sons as candidates for House of Reps 2-3 days ago. And the people are not happy about it. Everybody knows that these sons of governors are not good enough. and popular and capable aspirants, including incumbents, have been edged out. So that is when it becomes a problem. But if it is a normal son inheriting the political traits and acumen of his father on his own, or daughter going out to contest, seek for public approval and getting it, I don't think there's any problem. But to impose one is a very big problem. But because in our system, it will likely be the imposed one rather than the normal one. So that is why many are worried.
Dr. In the, let's take for example in that of Jigawa, where a former governor, in Jigawa, where a former governor imposed the son for a position, and another one again, and the daughter. You know, so it becomes very unwieldy just because he's the leader of the PDP in that particular state.
I understand that has not really happened there.
It's actually not correct. It's only the son.
Okay, well, the son. But again,
but in two states neighboring Jigawa, serving governors have imposed their sons.
Like what Kyari has said, what is wrong with those kind of imposition is, one, if the son is not competent enough, or the daughter, as the case may be, does not have the competence, have not been participating in the process, and then you just come because you have the opportunity, you insist that it must be your son or your child that must step into the position, then that is what is bad. But there's nothing stopping the child or the son or daughter
from aspiring
from
any position. Okay, yes. Earlier we saw Dr. Iyorchia Ayu, the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party there. How important is it for this particular primary to consolidate rather than throw up issues that will cause disaffection and controversies?
This primary is very, very important, particularly for the two big parties. PDP is trying to stage a comeback. It has had more than a fair share of its trouble since it lost power in 2015. And therefore, to a very large extent, the organization and outcome of this particular primary may well turn out to decide the future of the party. If the organization and the outcome turn out to be well, the party will likely bounce back, develop the capacity to favorably compete and wrestle power again. If things go awry, we are not happy, it is going to spell doom for the party. It has been in a lot of crisis since 2015. We remember immediately after losing election, the party plunged into serious chaos. Factional national chairman emerged, Ali Modu Sharif and Makarfi. The party, the issue was only resolved by the Supreme Court. Within that period, it lost a number of high-profile individuals who, in a typical Nigerian way, defected to the ruling party. We also witnessed the controversy of secondos, which resulted in painting a very, very gloomy future for the party. But thank God, in November last year, they were able to hold a successful convention and a new leadership emerged. And the national leader is a very tested person. He has been in politics for a very long time. He has been minister several times, erudite, academic. He knows the Nigerian political terrain very well. So his election for me was very, very good for the party. It's still very, very good for the party. In spite of all the contradictions, the centrifugal forces threatening to tear up the party, I think Iyorchia Ayu has the temperament to bring them all together. But certainly the way this particular primary is conducted and the outcome of it is an acid test for the PDP as a major political party.
Okay, now, okay, you want to
Yes,
contribute to that
what,
as well.
what I want to say is that certainly the PDP as a political party have no other option than to get it right. They should not forget that the APC is also on top of their game, and they should, as quickly as possible, whatever the outcome of this convention, they should as quickly as possible heal whatever wounds that is going to come up, and try as much as possible to put their acts together to be able to be competitive. They have they don't have an option of having a cohesive body to go into the 2023 election. They don't have any option. Whatever the outcome of this convention, they have to put their acts together quickly because they have a tough battle ahead. The APC is a well-organized political machinery, and as you can see from the array of presidential candidates in the APC, you can see that they are a very formidable party. So the PDP would need to settle down quickly from whatever the outcome of this convention is going to be, and try as much as possible to heal the wounds that are going to emanate. So far from their congresses, from the smaller House of Assembly, and there's a lot of issues emanating from there, and a lot of people are not happy with the way the party has conducted the primaries at that level. I am aware because in most of the states there have been a lot of complaints, especially the way delegates were purchased. It's not only in the PDP, but the PDP was very elated because they are the ones that had finished most of their congresses earlier on. So there have been a lot of complaints across the states of the Federation.
Okay, now, gentlemen, looking at the National Stadium there, it also looks quite calm and peaceful. Obviously, the entire process is going hitch-free. What's your reaction to that?
Yes, like I said, I like the choice of the velodrome since they are not expecting more than 811 persons, and so it's a compact, closely knit arena. And as you can see, I was just telling Dr. Carey that I like the choice of the venue. It looks very nice. They are, like I said, they have no option than to be this peaceful. What happens at the end of the day is for all the participants to take whatever the outcome is and let the party move forward. They have no option than to do that, because anything short of that will not be good for the PDP as an opposition party.
Of course, Dr. Carey, possibly that was the message of the national chairman, Dr. Joshua Ayu, calling for acceptance of the outcome of the process.
Yeah, I think his body language, his pronouncements are in order. But as a person, I believe that whatever happens is not going to tear PDP apart. Because I think they have come a long way. Apart from one or two states where there's contention over delegates, I don't think really there's going to be any problem in the conduct. The number of delegates are not many. And judging from what has been happening for the past 4 days, aside from the allegations of the dollarization and the reduction, but the conduct of the primaries have been smooth. I don't expect anything different here. I think it is not so difficult to make 811 persons conduct themselves. And this thing is being conducted under the full glare of the international media. Everybody is seeing what is happening. What usually created problem in the past, even before coming to the convention venue, there were intractable issues, issues that were capable of creating problems. I don't think there are such issues there.
Have they been able to contend with all these issues?
Well, perhaps because of what Dr. Omale said, PDP are condemned to get it right. So they cannot continue to bicker over some of those things. It is in the best interest of the party to ensure that they have seamless and smooth primaries, rather than dissipate their energy in infighting, which will only reduce their chances. They are a party that is trying to recreate itself, stage a comeback, and therefore they don't have the luxury of time, they don't have any other option but to get it right.
Now, are there lessons for other political parties? Because I know right now, obviously, they will be watching out for what is happening there at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium. Now, are there lessons for them to learn from the outcomes of what will happen here? I know there have been a lot of strategies from all the political parties, the deferments and the postponements and all that. But now the PDP has taken the bull by the horn. What do you see as the outcome of this to other political parties?
Yeah, there's a lot of lessons, as you can see. Once the PDP finish their presidential campaign, the pressure will now be on the APC and the other political parties, because it was very strategic on the part of the PDP not to have postponed this convention, despite the extension by INEC. Now, after they successfully conduct their primaries, depending on who gets win the election today, that will shape the decision that the APC delegates and other political parties, because the PDP is setting the pace. This is the first party that is doing their convention. So whatever decision, if it goes south, it might have a ripple effect. If it goes north, it might have a ripple effect. So other parties are watching with keen interest what is going to happen at the convention. So whatever plays out at this convention definitely will have a ripple effect in what is going to happen in the other parties' convention.
Dr. Kyari.
Yeah, I completely share his sentiment, which makes the PDP convention to be an acid test for the 2023 primaries. So all the primaries of the remaining political parties will be hugely influenced by the organization and outcome of the PDP primaries, particularly the APC. The APC, okay, sorry to divert to them, but it's just to give an example. There are so many contentious issues that are yet to be resolved. But I think the moment they see that PDP has done their own and everything has gone well, they will have to tell themselves the truth. That look, all this hide and seek, all this refusal to do screening, all these allegations that the aspirants are being shabbily treated, the allegations, okay, that a coerced consensus is in the offing, I think it will stop. So it is very good for the PDP, because they will now go to town after the convention and say that they are taking a leadership role, that once again they are pathfinders, that everybody is copying them. So I think it is even good for the image of PDP.
Yeah, if they come out today and say, we have done consensus, everybody will say, oh, so consensus can work. Yes. If they come out and cast votes and somebody wins, will say, oh, the PDP have picked their presidential candidate from so zone, and so it is going to have a ripple effect in what happens in other party. The APC and even the PDP, they have not resolved the issue of zoning. They have not resolved the issue of where or who the presidency should go on to. So it is this convention now that might likely resolve that issue.
Are we expecting situations of consensus or aspirants stepping down for others?
I expect that some aspirants to step down.
May step down, but
they may step down, but they will be voting.
We
are not expecting consensus.
It is too late to have a consensus candidate. Yes, if before they had come, I mean, and the way I see, there are at least 3 or 4 candidates they will insist that because each of them fancies his chances.
Yes. They are looking at it that they are going to be in. They are going to be Aso Villa. So they are not going to take any consensus here on this floor. So they will be voting.
Now going back to that issue of anointed candidates. Now, what is the place of the Nigerian youth, who, especially those who may not be from privileged families? What is the place of these youths?
That's why we say there is a problem with anointing, because those who usually get anointed are the privileged and the super privileged ones. In few instances, well, when the godfathers want to manipulate, so they identify someone who has prospects. But in all circumstances, the anointing Nigerian way is not a good one, and it works against the youth worse than it works against the other age categories, because it is the youth that have the energy. They are born in with desire and ambition. They want to self-actualize, and then all of a sudden their dreams are dashed because the godfathers decide that somebody but them should be anointed. They are not even given the opportunity to compete. So what makes anointing even worse is the fact that it closes the door on the opportunities to compete.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Now, do we expect a very long night from what we see there at the National Stadium? Do we expect a long night? Just in one sentence?
Sure, we expect a very long night. This is 7 p.m. already, almost 7 p.m. and voting has not commenced. So we expect...
Dr. Carey.
We expect a very long night.
But I believe by dawn, they should be done with, and we wish them well.
Okay, we have been talking to two eminent gentlemen here, Dr. Abubakar Umar Kyari, a political...
Kari, actually.
Kari, okay. Umar Kari, a political analyst. Thank you so much for your insights on this discussion. And Dr. Adoyo Male, also a political analyst, I must thank you very much for your insights on the program.
Thank you very much.
And that's how it's been from here, from the NTA. I am Ifeanyi Okafor, thanking you for being with us all this while. And until next time, bye for now.